So the first thing everyone's gonna walk out of this movie saying is, I need a baby Groot. Sadly, that's the best I'm gonna get, but it's gonna happen. Guys, my name is Zach, and I'm bringing you guys one of my most anticipated reviews for this year, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Let's talk about this movie. I am a huge fan of the first movie. I was one of those people who I knew who the Guardians were. I've read those comics. I've read the original team and the newer team, and going into this, I was so pumped because I remember people were talking crap about the first one, and then the first one stunned everyone on how great it was. So this movie had a lot to live up to. And does it live up to it? In a lot of ways, it really lives up to the original, and in a couple ways, it kind of doesn't. But we'll talk about the negatives in a little bit, but I do want to talk about the positives, especially the positives, because this movie has so many positives that it completely outweighs the negatives. Let's first start off with the characters for this movie. That's what made the first movie so great, and that's what makes the second movie a beautiful movie to see. I mean, come on, we got Peter Quill, Star-Lord, Chris Pratt's back playing one of our favorite vigilante kind of superhero-esque characters, and I love him. He does something different with this kind of type of character as well. I mean, the thing with Peter Quill this time around is he has some more emotional beats to go through. It's not just the funny guy and this kind of Han Solo type character, but the kind of character he plays in this, it has those isms, but he also does some other things with the character, and I love where James Gunn took Star-Lord. Even though James Gunn took his character somewhere, he takes all the characters in this movie in a different, unique way, and that was one of the best things about this film. Every character got an arc in this, and it furthered the character development. I love seeing that. Gamora and Nebula especially, both chemistry between Nebula in the first movie I was not a fan of. I liked Nebula, but I thought she overacted, and I just didn't understand her reasoning. This film, you completely understand her side of the story, and you get to see more of her, and Karen Gillan does a great job with Nebula, and Zoe Saldana as Gamora is always great as well, but their chemistry and their arc and what you learn between them both is so emotional and beating, and just, it was great to see on the screen. No, I did not forget about Drax and Mantis. Mantis is one of the newest characters in here, played by an actress who I can't completely say her name, but I know her first name's Palm. She does a great job in here. She was the one I was a little iffy on going into this film, but I think she stole a lot of the scenes she was in, and she's a great addition to the movie and the cast as well. I mean, she has some really great moments in here, and moments that didn't show in the trailer, and I was really happy to see. And then I was kind of like, oh, is she gonna be able to hold up with their, like, fighting styles and stuff? She has a scene. I saw it. She has some great purpose to the team. Oh. Let's talk about Drax the Destroyer, Dave Bautista. When the first movie, when they announced him, I was a little iffy, but he stole the first movie. He had some great scenes, and in this one, he's even better. I mean, he is so funny in this movie. If I had any complaints about his character in this movie, he's called Drax the Destroyer, but I wouldn't say he gets a lot of fight scenes in this movie, but that's not a complete problem with the movie for me. I think the funny and just the comedy that he has in this movie is so damn well that Dave Bautista knocks it out of the park, and he has some of the best lines in here. Of course, I can't forget about Baby Groot and Rocket Raccoon. I love both of those characters. They're some of my favorite characters of all time. But I mean, Baby Groot, obviously, it is hell, steals the show in almost every scene he's in, and there's some scenes where you're, like, feeling so bad for him, you're just like, oh my god, I just want to hug you. It is so great to see Baby Groot on the screen, and then Rocket Raccoon really surprised me with this one. I thought he was just going to be kind of the one-line joke, hit here and there action, but no, he has some really good scenes in here. I mean, really good scenes that really make you care, and some great lines and some great dialogue that James Gunn wrote for Bradley Cooper to read off of. Really, I was very surprised by Rocket Raccoon and the character arc that they took with his character as well. First off, let's get Ego out of the way. Russell's in here, and I love Kurt Russell. He's a fantastic actor. He's kind of having this renaissance of being in a bunch of movies, but now he's in Guardians, and he plays Ego the Living Planet. And, you know, I think he did a great job with what he was doing, and he had some great dialogue, and you really just got to know him more, and I like seeing that. Also, I think they did a good job of explaining the whole Ego the Living Planet thing. If you know the comics, a little confusing, but I think they did a good job of explaining it pretty well in the movie. Now, let's talk about Michael Rooker as Yondu. Yondu was a standout in the first movie, but did not have a lot of scenes. This movie, he is given a whole subplot, and I loved it. Seeing his character Yondu get more into the film was very exciting to see, because I really enjoy Yondu as a character. He has that cool whistle and that little arrow that shoots around, and that's awesome. And he has some of the great standout action scenes in this film, and he also has really good emotional beats. There's some moments in here that are so emotional that really just resonate with me. And I mean, it's not just with Yondu, but it's with a bunch of other characters. Gamora and Nebula, Star-Lord and Ego, and just a bunch of different moments in here. It's problems with son and father, and that whole element where if you have father problems, you might kind of hit it hard in here with emotional beats, because this is a very core theme for this movie, is a father and son thing. And I love that about this film. I'll say this, James Gunn knows how to direct a film. He really, like the first movie and Slither and all of his other movies he's ever made, I've always known he could direct a film. He must have gotten a way bigger budget for this film because this movie is stunning. I thought Doctor Strange last year was one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen with special effects and everything. This movie is beautiful beyond belief. There are some scenes where special effects is a little iffy, but overall, this is one of the most gorgeous films I've ever seen. It really feels like a painting was just splashed on him with a palette, with the characters walking through. It was so great. Whatever the trailers are showing, it's nothing to what you'll actually see in the film. With every movie comes some negatives, and I want to talk about some of the negatives in this film, and none of them outweighed the good. But one of my biggest problems with the movie was the pacing. I think the pacing was a little offbeat, and I think the movie overall wasn't as structured as good as the first one was. I think this one started off very well, but as it started getting into all these different subplots and stories, I can't really tell you what the main story was, because each character had their own main story. I would just say it's a new adventure with the Guardians of the Galaxy is pretty much what the story is. Each person had a different central subplot, and it just all mushed together. And yes, it does mush together, but sometimes it feels uneven, and that's not a completely bad thing, but at the same time, for some people, it's going to be a problem. And for me, I did feel it with some of the pacing issues where it's like, okay, I liked all the subplots going in, but sometimes it'd be like, okay, you're kind of dragging on this one. Let's move back to this one. Let's see what's going on here. And honestly, like, sadly to say, like, I would say the least interesting story for me was Star-Lord and Ego. It was intriguing at first, but as other ones started opening up, I really wanted to see what else was going on. But that's not a whole problem. Don't totally go into it thinking, oh, he said that. But trust me, like, it's a good story, and I really enjoyed what James Gunn wrote and directed in this film. He's very different from the other Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And I think coming off the first one, which was such a surprise to a lot of people were expecting a lot out of this film, and you get more and more in the better of the same stuff, but it's also a different film in itself because it's such a smaller structure living into a bigger movie. Because the story's so self-contained, it doesn't tie completely into the Marvel Universe, but at the same time it does. And the way it's so small is it's great to see it. It kind of reminds me of what Iron Man 3 did, where it was such a small story. And yes, people aren't fans of Iron Man 3, but I liked Iron Man 3, and I like what they did in here, because really what I'm saying is that this is a very different type of Marvel movie, set with the Guardians of the Galaxy, different tone and a different theme to it than the first movie, and I think that's going to catch people off guard, and maybe on repeat viewings, people will enjoy this movie more. But for me, everyone I went with all enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the movie especially. I don't have that many negatives. All my pros outweigh it. It had great directing, great writing, great acting. I mean, great character development for all the story elements. CGI was fantastic in most of the scenes, only a couple iffy parts, and I really just enjoyed where they took all the characters. The action was so superb, and I can't wait to see the movie again is what I'm really saying. Oh, I can't even forget about this. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 also has awesome mixtape Volume 2, and I have to say, I love the music from the first one, and I really love the music for this one too. It's more lesser known songs than I think a lot of people are going to know just compared to the first one, and some people might come out and be like, oh, it's not that memorable. Honestly, I love the music for this. I think it's as equal as the first one is as well, and it ties into the story just as good as the first one did. With all that said though, I'm going to give Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 an A. Be sure to stay after the credits because there are a lot of scenes after it. I think there's like 4 to 5 of them, and a couple of them tie in pretty well, and then some of them are kind of just throwaway fun ones, but I think it's very good. This movie has a lot of surprises in it, some cameos in it that I knew were in it, but they still shocked me and surprised me, and I'm really excited to just see where the Guardians go within the next Marvel Universe, because I know we will see them in the next Avengers, and I'm so excited to see that. Marvel really just blows it out of the park every single time they're here, and I'm really happy to say that I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I don't know where I would rank it yet. I still want to see it again, but for now, I'm going to equal it just as good as the first movie. I love the first movie. I love this one. It's really such a fun time at the movies. I totally recommend going and seeing this movie, especially if you're a Marvel fan. Even if you're not, this is really a fun movie. If you enjoyed the first one, you're going to like this one just keep your expectations where you think it is, and just go into it wanting a fun time. What did you guys think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Comment down below. Let me know. I'm really curious to hear what everyone's thoughts were about this Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because some critics were really bashing this film and just kind of like iffy about it. But I gotta say, I like this movie. It was so fun, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think about the movie. And also look out for a spoiler discussion of this movie later on my channel this week. I'm going to be getting spoiler details about scenes I really liked and other things. I just want to go see it again this weekend. That way I can get my mind through, clearing thoughts and all that, and maybe even have a different score. Who knows? Maybe higher, maybe a bit lower, but who knows? If you guys like this and you want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I'm almost to 160 subscribers. Let's try and see if we can hit 200 before July. I really am curious. I really want to hit that. If we get up to there, I'm going to do a Funko Pop collection. I'm going to show you guys all my Funko Pops I own. I own a lot of them. But other than that, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.